everyone. Welcome to my place. Watchtower gave us a gift to do the preaching work. Well, the only problem was the preaching work that we was preaching for Watchtower was a delusional misinterpretation of the Bible. That means basically we was nothing but liars. This is another talk from the same guy. Talk about the fulfillment of the witnesses of completing or almost completing their mission on this earth, and that is the preaching work. But we know the ones who was in this religion, and many who have studied witnesses for a few years, and now these days with the technology of the internet, people are learning the real truth about Jehovah Witnesses, learning how corrupt Watchtower has turned the witnesses into PT4 liars. And that's what I was, and many of us. People accuse us saying that we were never Jehovah Witnesses. You don't have to be a Jehovah Witness to know the lies and the dishonesty that comes from these witnesses' mouth. There's many people out there like Bridget and others that never was Jehovah Witnesses, but they studied with them, they did the research, and many of them trying to wake these people up. So let's get into this talk. And you know me, what I do the best is to examine this talk, to examine this isn't the truth that comes from the mouth of this man, the mouth of Watchtower, the mouth of the governing body. This is just a cover-up to mislead you and to guide you on the path of everlasting destruction. Because the Bible says all false religion will be destroyed. So when you learn Watchtower is a false religion, is a dangerous cult, are you going to stay in till it's too late? I'm no fool. When the hot water starts getting warm and going up to the next degree, and you know it's going to get hot, it's time to get out before you get burned alive. So let's get into this talk and we take it from there.
What about the fact that not every individual on this planet has received a witness? Well, open your Bible to Matthew chapter 10 and verse 23. What Jesus told his followers here gives us reason to question or to reconsider the idea that every individual must receive a personal witness before the end comes. At Matthew 10:23, Jesus said to his disciples, "When they persecute you in one city, flee to another. For truly I say to you, you will by no means complete the circuit of the cities of Israel until the Son of Man arrives." Now this verse suggests that our preaching work will still be underway when the Great Tribulation breaks out. What does that tell us? That all prophecies about pure worship, including prophecies about our preaching, have already been fulfilled. Nothing more needs to happen before the end.
Your preacher work worldwide is getting worldwide. Yes, that part is true. The world is waking up to Watchtower's lies, learning how Jehovah's Witnesses never was and deserved the word Christian. So yes, you are being worldwide, Jehovah's Witnesses. It's proving how wicked and corrupt your religion is.
Why is that important for us to realize? Is it relevant to the everyday tests of faith that we encounter? Yes. Consider just one example. Suppose a person of the opposite sex at work or at school makes you feel special when no one in the congregation.
And it's true. I've seen it many times in congregations. People form their own little groups, and if you're not spiritual above the ladder, no one will recognize you. So there's a lot of people went outside the religion to find love, because there is no love in this organization. Women are not allowed to receive love. Men don't know how to give love. And who gives the men this understanding? Their own literature. So I don't blame a woman for going outside Jehovah's Witnesses religion to find a real man that knows how to please a woman, to give her real love, mentally, physically, and compassion. And you wonder why I'm doing these videos. Let's continue.
Seems to be doing that. And feelings start to develop. That kind of situation can drive you out of your mind. And
yeah. Just like it was given to me that from a friend, that a elder and his wife, the elder only gives his wife 10 minutes of sex. 10 minutes of sex. Just enough to release his load, and he's done. Leave her hanging. And this is the elder's wife. And he goes up there, gives the same information the way he does in his own bedroom. Wham bam, thank you ma'am. Roll over, fall asleep. And they wonder why wives commit adultery, and why men goes outside the marriage to find a woman to fulfill his fantasies, because he's afraid to do it in his own bedroom, afraid that his wife is going to report him, for I guess for this case, to the other elders or elders' wives, and they go to the husband and say, this man was doing this in the bedroom, he's doing that, how come you don't do this, how come you don't do that? oh man, hell breaks loose. So that's why there's no negative. No, that's the reason that there is negative in all the bedrooms. Because the word would get out if someone was having positive, making love, and making each other happy. Let's continue.
Into your heart, which is a treacherous place to live when we're faced with such a test. But knowing that prophecies about pure worship have already been fulfilled, that nothing else needs to happen.
Prophecies is being fulfilled, people. The world is waking up to Watchtower and Jehovah Witnesses. So that prophecy is true. The eyes of the ones that's in this religion is open up. The eyes of the world is seeing how dangerous Jehovah Witnesses is. So that is a Bible prophecy. Bravo, brother.
Before the end is a wake-up call. It can send us back into our head when a test tugs at our emotions. It can infuse us with confidence that Jehovah's day is coming soon and will respond to tests of our faith accordingly. Now let's move on to our third type of prophecy, and that is prophecies about this wicked system of things. This is what we're most familiar, right?
They worry about the outside of the world, which everybody know how wicked is. But when you got the same wickedness in the kingdom halls, in your organization, you don't see that. You don't see the child molesting in your organization. You don't see people killing people in your congregation, murdering them. So many cases that Jehovah's Witnesses has killed their own people. Heck, the governing body has killed thousands and millions of Jehovah's Witnesses over a decade because of the doctrines and their putting Jehovah's Witnesses in situations that to break laws, to cause them to be persecuted. Even countries was going to ban Jehovah's Witnesses and telling them that if they don't put up a flag inside or outside their kingdom halls will be shut down. And Watchtower gave them permission to put up a flag, so the kingdom halls wouldn't be shut down. But is there any flags is put up in other kingdom halls in the United States? No. So it's okay for Watchtower to bend the rules for one area, but it's not okay to do it in other areas. So that shows it's all about people, money, and control. If this was the truth, then those brothers and sisters would have to flee to another country or another town if they was being persecuted. Remember what he said? What Christ said? You're in one area, they don't listen to you. Knock the dust off your feet and leave. I don't remember reading the word persecution in that one part. When he told me to go out and go in someone's house, that area don't listen to you, just knock off your dirt off your feet and leave. Mention nothing about persecution. See, there's your thing about how they twist the scriptures.
We know the scriptures. Matthew 24, Luke 21, 2 Timothy 3, Revelation 6. When we read 2 Timothy 3 to people. They get it. They can see that people today display those ugly traits, and it makes the world ever more unstable. What about the prophecy?
What about unstable in the kingdom halls? Making people in the kingdom halls to hate people, even hate the ones they love, that they are forced to disown, forced to make them, that member, feel that they are unworthy, that they wish they was never born, unworthy, that all they can think about is committing suicide because their parents has cut them off when they made one mistake. This shows this is a cult, not pure truth or a religion.
Of Matthew 24. Just one example, Matthew 24:7. Nation will rise against nation and kingdom against kingdom. Does that prophecy have to be fulfilled any more than it has been? Some estimates place the total number of deaths due to war and conflict since 1914 at more than 100 million people. And
first of all, let's back up there for a second. He should have said when the first person was murdered by his own brother. And that wasn't before 1914. That was the first son of Adam killed his second son, or in this case, Cain's brother. There have been deaths all over the world from that point all the way to the future. It has nothing to do with 1914. There was more people died more than 1914. That's just to cover up or fix their false date, 1914. People, it's time to do research. I mean, you need to do research and stop living this delusional fantasy that Watchtower one day may become a pure religion. It's not going to happen. Give it up, people.
If war were to escalate beyond the scale of World War II, could mankind even survive? The point is, war and all the other signs of the last days have already been fulfilled sufficiently. In fact, we often say to ourselves, if you want to prove that we're living in the last days, just look at the headlines, right? Here's a problem, though. And if we're not careful, this could throw off our perception. Are the headlines always bad? No. No, sometimes, at least in Western lands, the world goes through a quiet spell where things appear to be normal, even upbeat and optimistic.
I want to make a point. What about all the literatures that Jehovah's Witnesses put out saying Armageddon will be such year, and the rest of the world didn't feel the effects of it, did just go on their normal lives, and when 1975 came and went, to them it was nothing. They knew nothing about it. So you will see how they twist something here to make Jehovah's Witnesses to do some thinking. Just because you hear in the news when something is starts and then the next day it's just like nothing happens. So that means Armageddon is not right at your door. So don't lose faith, because when that door is about ready to be blown wide open, then your Armageddon's here. Let's continue.
Or trivial. If we're not careful, that factor could turn us into window weathermen. Have you ever looked out your window on a bright sunny morning and said, "Ah, what a beautiful day," and so you go off to work or to school without your umbrella and then get caught in a downpour on the way home? That happens to window weathermen all the time, because what it looks like outside the window in the AM isn't necessarily what it's going to be like in the PM. The clouds can gather quickly, and a storm can break out unexpectedly. The same is true regarding the coming Great Tribulation. We can't base our sense of urgency just on what we see outside the window. In other words, we can't base our sense of urgency solely on what we read in the headlines. Why? Because the news can fluctuate. And if we're...
Yeah. Just like Jehovah's Witnesses change their doctrines, it fluctuates. Whoop, whoop, back and forth. I don't know how I even can keep listening to these stupid talks, because it's, after a while, it just blows your brains inside out to comprehend the ignorance and the stupidness in these crazy talks. But someone got to do it to wake people up.
If we're not careful, our convictions will fluctuate with it. For instance, if the headlines are about war, terrorism, an economic downturn, ooh, the end must be close. But what happens when the clouds go away? As they do from time to time. One day the headlines are about a terrorist attack. The next day they're talking about Jen and Ben are together again, or something like that. When the headlines go back to Hollywood trivia, you know the clouds are gone. And the forecast doesn't seem so bad after all. But
what about the forecast for Jehovah's Witnesses? When there's headlines showing how evil, corrupt this religion is, and when they don't hear nothing else, ooh, that's just a small fraction of a raindrop. Don't even have to worry about getting the umbrella. It's just a raindrop from this big giant cloud that's throwing lightning, thunder, but it's just only dropping one drop of water. That's how delusional Jehovah's Witnesses are. The corruptness in their own organization. Let's continue.
Things can change, and things will change. The storm clouds for the Great Tribulation will gather quickly, regardless of how things look outside the window at the moment. The fact is, all prophecies about this wicked system have already been fulfilled. As we mentioned earlier, Daniel's prophecy shows that we're already living in the time of the final world power. Revelation 20 verse 9 indicates that Satan's political system will be destroyed while still alive, the Bible says. What does that tell us? That we don't have to wait for the system to start collapsing. Nothing.
Well, here's the thing. Jehovah's Witnesses, your religion is collapsing. Each country is banning you, not of good, of evil. So you are seeing prophecy being fulfilled, but you call it persecution. You call it unfair unkindness. because your teaching has destroyed many people all over the world. Bible knowledge, if you use it correctly, predicts you are one corrupt religion.
Something more needs to happen before the end. Why is that important for us to realize? Is it relevant to the everyday tests of faith that we encounter? Yes. Consider just two examples. Suppose your spouse is opposed to the truth and demands that you stop serving Jehovah. What if the government says you can no longer preach or meet for worship? Trials like that.
I don't call that trials. I call that love, compassion. You should tell your loved ones, it's time to give up your false religion. It's time to take off those Watchtower diapers and start wearing nice underwear, panties, and give up the diapers. That's what we're trying to tell you.
Can drive us out of our mind and into our heart, which is a treacherous place to live when we're faced with opposition or persecution. But knowing that all prophecies about the last days have already been fulfilled can get us back into our head, infusing us with confidence that Jehovah's day will come soon and will respond to opposition and persecution accordingly. Now let's review our second main point. How do we know that Jehovah's day of judgment will come soon? Because all the prophecies of what would happen before the end regarding 1, the anointed, 2, pure worship, and 3, the wicked system of things, have already been fulfilled. Nothing.
They're anointed in Daniel chapter 12. That chapter has nothing to do with Jehovah's Witnesses, and I've done a video on that one. Let's continue.
Nothing more needs to happen before the end. Now, so far we've established that 1, Jehovah's day will not be late, and 2, Bible prophecy confirms that his day will come soon. And that brings us to our third question. How can we show that we are living in expectation of Jehovah's day? Well, this entire convention was designed to answer that question. In fact, take out your program and let's review what we've discussed over the past 3 days. Starting with the cover. Every session and every talk in some way related to our convention theme, don't give up. Now, there's so much behind those 3 words. It's exhorting because it's urging us to stay faithful. It's encouraging because it's saying we can do it. It's sobering because it places responsibility for our endurance right where it belongs, on you.
And in Satan's organizations, Satan's one of his false religions. Yep. That's what all this is all about, to keep you under Satan's control by believing the governing body that Satan is your God Jehovah. Satan is the one going to give you deliverance. Satan's going to give you a paradise. Yeah.
And on me. If we give up, we can't blame Jehovah's organization. We can't blame our parents.
Yeah, I can't blame my parents. I can blame Jehovah's organization for corrupting my life, wasting my life, my energy, my time, But one thing I did get out of it, it got me out of a false religion. So thank you, Watchtower, for letting me find your publications to educate myself. All your lies, dishonesty. All of us, thank you for your wonderful screw up. Got us out.
Our spouse, or a fellow believer who supposedly stumbled us. Jehovah expects us to be bigger than that. We are the gardeners of our own spiritual condition. If weeds start to grow, it's our responsibility to uproot them. If we give up, we can't blame anyone other than ourselves. That means each one of us has to accept a personal responsibility to keep an expectation of Jehovah's day. Because the fact is, there is no middle ground. We are either living in expectation or we are living in denial.
Denial! Yes! That's what we all was living in, a denial. In the religion. In the stinking religion. Believing that it was the truth.
And this convention truly helped us to live in expectation. For example, notice in your program, Friday morning included a symposium that helped us see the need to endure in various forms of preaching, including informally, house to house, publicly, making disciples. A symposium on Friday afternoon emphasized the need to cultivate qualities that promote endurance. Qualities including faith, virtue, knowledge, self-control. On Friday morning, we also discussed the greatest example of endurance, and that is Jehovah himself. Now, why do we need to stay active in preaching? And why do we need to cultivate qualities like faith, knowledge, self-control? The answer is simple.
Self-control. When you're about ready to rape a woman, molest children, where's your stinking self-control, Jehovah's Witnesses? Where's the self-control of Watchtower not putting stop to the child molesters? There is no self-control in this dangerous cult.
Because each one of us is facing some type of trial right now. It might be one of the 7 obstacles that were discussed on Friday afternoon's program. Do you see them there? Unjust treatment, advancing age, our own imperfections, humbling experiences, prolonged illness, the loss of a loved one, and persecution. Trials like these can drive us out of our mind and into
persecution. Perfect word. What about the persecution in your religion? Persecution that a child has to go through when he goes in the back room, confront elders because she or he was raped by an elder, molested by an elder, or someone in the congregation. No words? I didn't think so.
To our heart. And in Matthew 15:19, Jesus said that wicked reasonings can form in the heart. For example, our troubled heart could start reasoning that Jehovah's Day is delaying. That's a wicked reasoning. Because if that's what we really think, then we're not living in expectation. We're living in denial. Reminds me of that old Roadrunner cartoon where the coyote's house has been pushed onto the railroad track. He hears the sound of an oncoming train. He looks out the window and sees it coming right toward him. So what does he do? He pulls down the window shade. You can guess what happens next. I mean, that's just a cartoon and it's humorous, but more seriously, and no laughing matter, each one of us should ask ourselves, when I confront a test of my faith, do I pull the window shade on reality? When you
The reality is when you look in your own religion and see so much evil, and you shut the blinds, and you don't want to see the truth right there in front of your face. People, all of us who put up these videos went through their trials. They're being destroyed by Watchtower. Everything is truthful when we make these videos to help you. So I'm going to stop it here. I know it's a little bit long, but education about this false religion is more important than anything you can imagine, because they teach you to stay away from cults, false religions. That is the main goal of our videos. Not getting numbers, not destroying your life. We're trying to save your life. Thank you very much. Y'all have a wonderful weekend.